All right, so today we're going to be taking a look at forecasting with ops in a box. Let's jump right in. All right, so here we are inside of the forecast module, and the first thing that you're going to see is the predictive forecast being generated from ops in a box. So you'll see right there, your forecast for this quarter is $2.56 million. Now this number is actually going to be recalculated and updated every single day. You can see on the second row there, this forecast was last updated on July 10th, that's today, which is the 10th day of the quarter, and we're going to recalculate this based on the history in your CRM on the 10th day of the quarter, the 11th, the 12th, the 30th, the 60th, the 89th, all the way to the end of the quarter. We're going to keep updating and predicting this number based on past performance at that point in time in the quarter. All right, so now let's take a look at how that $2.56 million is actually being calculated. Well, it's coming from four different numbers. We're going to add up what's already been closed won, plus we're going to be looking again at that 10th day in this example and looking at what historically is being created and closed from the 10th day to the end of the quarter. In this case, we're looking at an average of $310,487 being created and closed from the 10th day forward. In the same way, we're going to look at the average that's pulled into the quarter currently forecasted in another quarter from that 10th day forward. So in this case, we're looking at an average of $489,513 that the system is predicting is going to get pulled in and closed from the 10th day to the end of the quarter. And finally, the system is predicting from our open pipeline, we're going to close an additional $1.65 million. Now we're going to break that number down even further. The forecasted pipeline uses two separate methodologies to predict what you're going to close from your open pipeline. The first methodology is using stage conversion rates. We can see the details of this in the table below. What this is actually calculating is it's looking at, in this example, the 10th day, looking at the last 3, 4, 5 quarters, however you have configured the system, and it's looking at what the average conversion rate for each stage was at the 10th day. Now again, this is going to recalculate every single day to be accurate to that day of what your forecast is going to be. So let's take a look at a single example. So looking at the table below, let's just focus on this red line stage. What this table is telling us is that in the stage red line, we have $583,000 currently open this quarter. The system is predicting that we're going to close 60% of that, which would yield $350,000. So the question becomes, why is it predicting 60%? Why it's predicting 60% is because we're looking at the last 4 quarters, and we're seeing what the average stage conversion rate was for red lines. And here you can see in this example, all the different conversions on the last 4 quarters, and the average of this grouping is 60%. So we're taking that 60%, we're applying it to the open pipeline on this quarter, and that's the prediction that it's using. So it goes through stage by stage every single day doing this math, giving you this predictive output. And you can see if we add up the forecast on this table, we're going to get $1.58 million closed from our open pipeline. So that's the first methodology. The second methodology uses the same concept as the stage conversion rate, but instead applies it to the total pipeline. So here you can see we have $4.26 million of open pipeline, and the system is predicting that we're going to close 40% of that to yield $1.72 million. So in the same way, we're looking back at the last 4 quarters on the 10th day, looking at what that historical total pipeline conversion rate was, and applying it to this quarter to get our number. So there you have it. We've got 2 separate methodologies yielding 2 similar but different results. $1.58 million and $1.72 million. We take that number, we average those out, and that's how we get to our $1.65 million predicted to close from our open pipeline this quarter. So that's a high-level look at the forecasting module inside of Ops in a Box. It does the same math for the month that it does for the quarter, so you will have a predictive forecast for both the month and the quarter. Now there's 2 additional important features I want to point out. The first one is that you don't need to run this tool for 4 quarters to get the data. We actually seed and use all the opportunity history already stored in your Salesforce instance for this. So the day that you install Ops in a Box, you're going to get that predictive forecast right out of the gate. The second really important feature is that you can configure as many forecasts as you want using different filters in the system. So we're looking at right now a new business forecast, but you can see here we've got another one for all revenue. You could have one for North America versus APAC. Any sort of configuration based on all the different filters that you have in Salesforce, you can put in and run as many forecast modules as you want out of the tool. So that's it. We do have a 14-day trial. So if you're interested in looking at what the predictive forecast will be for your org, feel free to go to the App Exchange and start the trial today. Thanks.